Hey friends, what's happening? All right, I want to take a minute, and unpack a post I made yesterday, just talking about how it's important to partition our heart. And I just want to clarify a couple of things. I'm not saying turn off from the world. I'm not saying these things don't matter. They actually really do matter. And I'm very much against the idea of just burying your head in the sand or positive vibes only and ignoring things that affect people. Um, I'm just saying to be careful. This is a hard time to be a global citizen, and we have to balance that with the circle of people we have in our lives every day. And if you empty your well of time and energy, which are very much finite, being worried about things on the other side of the planet, you're not going to have that ability to be useful to the people around you. And I'm not saying who cares, it doesn't matter. And I also recognize this as a place of privilege to be able to do that, because not everybody's able to do that. I do think that the people of the world need to look out for each other. um, I just wanted to put it out there that, hey, you're not a bad person if you don't want to talk about this. And I strongly push back against the idea that you have to pick a side, and being silent is just as bad as condoning what's happening. No, you gotta just live your life, man. Like, you can be, you can't spend every moment being worried about the Amazon and worried about the migrant crisis and worried about what's going on in Ukraine with Russia and the possibility of nuclear war and the giant threat of climate change and peace in the Middle East. It's just a ton of stuff. We're still tired from COVID. We're, we're tired from being alive. Being alive is exhausting. I believe it's worth it, but it is tiring, man. And so trying to have energy for this is just like, oof. Um, I'd also like to touch on the fact that it's exhausting because it's hard to know where to start. There's a ton of political narrative and people telling you have to see it this way or you're a bad person. Uh, and then there's also this other very, very flawed system in how we get our information, which, like mainstream news and social media, they're both for-profit models that sell your attention to advertisers. And that's a real issue because it changes the importance of that information from instead being the validity, the truth of it, to how much attention does it get. And so now there's this benefit for sensationalism, this benefit for making people overly emotional to drive engagement, using fear, shock, sex to sell your attention to some advertiser who's trying to sell you sneakers. This is a flawed system for getting our information about the world. It's really tricky. This isn't an ad, what I'm about to say, but I use something called Ground News. They're actually pretty incredible at delivering non-biased information. You pay for it. It costs money. It's not cheap, but I would argue that getting your information from social media is also not cheap, just in a more insidious way. Uh, this I'm trying not to make this too long of a video. Uh, Let me just say, just to put it out there, in no way do I condone terrorist attacks. That's wrong. At the same time, that doesn't give you the right to commit a genocide on people, which is what's happening. That is absolutely awful, and never was it okay for there to be apartheid. People of any country deserve the same rights, securities, and freedoms and opportunity. And when you have a discrepancy there, it's going to lead to big problems like we're seeing now. I don't have the answers. I don't know how this gets fixed. I think we're living in a time of massive consequence. There's a saying that there are decades where weeks happens, and then there are weeks where decades happen. And this is one of those situations where I think the consequence of what we're watching happening now is going to reverberate for generations, and it's just awful. It's super sad. So in times like these, I just urge you to disconnect sometimes and maybe watch some puppy videos and maybe just spend time with people and get away from the phone and get away from these algorithms that are designed to hook you in. It's very easy to get caught up in this and angry. It's really easy to be angry these days, and I'd argue maybe that doesn't benefit you and the people you care about. Be good to yourself. Take some time, and yeah, that's it. That's all. Take care of yourself. Good luck out there.